Action Comics 1031, Philip K. Johnson writing with Daniel St. Pierre on the art. So if you remember last issue, the Kryptonian, because me and Matt, this is so funny. Me and Matt spent ages talking about why this ship was there. Was it them taking? Was it prisoners taking over the ship, and they just happened to be next to Earth? Whatever. This issue, of course, went out of its way to kind of explain this, and it was kind of a double step thing because on the one hand, yes, there was kind of an uprising on the ship. Although the prisoners seem to like their chains a lot and don't want their chains to be taken away.
Those ones, right? The War Zunes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not who the Kryptonians that were breaking out were. So it seemed like there's some. We'll get to that towards the end. There's something strange afoot going on with who we think are the Kryptonian refugees.
Okay, but the Kryptonian, the woman with the Kryptonian who spoke Kryptonian last issue definitely still wants her chains this issue. So. That was still a thing in this issue.
Let me see.
Let me see. We'll get to it. But the other point I was going to make is that later on, we do actually have a confirmation that while they might have staged something like that, Mongol's intention was to have all this go to Earth. That this was all a ploy to lure Superman into something. So there is a trap element to this to set things in motion. So Mongol is intentionally doing this, but it's a bit more of a ruse than... Perhaps.
So I got so wrapped up in reading the story and not looking at the art, I did not realize she put her chains back on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Okay, now that's a whole different meaning now.
Yep.
Oh boy. All right.
How glorious is that first page with the blinding light behind Superman and him floating there?
The whole art in this book, I just feel like St. Pierre's at a different level here.
Yeah.
But yes, that is fantastic because if you want to do messianic imagery, this is how you do it. Superman's in a very I'm here to help posture, not a worship me posture. It can be done.
Yeah, the first batch of the issue, of course, is as the action of them saving the prisoners on the ship. John trying to hold the ship together. We find out later the ship was basically like all different tech from different cultures, all just kind of stuck together. As a glorious full page spread of the ship crashing into the ocean.
Oof, so good.
Yeah, very, very pretty stuff. As John and Superman are flying away with the survivors.
I do like how John, who has seen, worst parts of this galaxy, right? From his trip around with Grandpa Jor-El. He's not as trusting as Clark and Kara are in this. And even with him talking to his dad, after this save, he goes, "Are you okay?" You see him kind of shaken up. And it's because of this other stuff, but just the fact that he's not as trusting as those two, I do like that split in the Super family.
That said, though, he's still a little bit too far. He's like, he gets a little not aggressive, but enough that Kara and Lois are like, that's not like John. Yeah, he's acting a little different, So they're trying to figure things out. They mention that the Kryptonian language isn't like, it wasn't like the present day Kryptonian language. It's an ancient language that no one uses anymore.
Almost like someone speaking Latin.
Yeah.
Like they're, and especially what they're saying, because it's not, it is a prayer, but it's almost like a prayer to a scientist, not a deity. So they're like, it'd be like, help me, Galileo, which it made me think of Queen, and I kind of had a chuckle. Because the song. Anyways.
Praise be Freddie Mercury.
Exactly.
Praise be. And then Superman goes down into the water. The Atlanteans, so there's a little bit of a Aquaman presence here, where they've claimed the ship and the power source in particular, the stone that's powering the whole thing. This mysterious power source is so powerful that the Atlanteans won't let Superman take it away for analysis because they want to keep it. And it could potentially power Atlantis for ever.
Yeah, because it's source energy. So here we're getting back to like some, the no justice aspect of the source wall, but not in the same way. Like this isn't the totality kind of vibe, but this is like an old technology. So I'm starting to wonder where this is headed with Johnson. With the whole thing of Mongol and how long this Warworld Empire has been around, right?
Yeah, and they have prisoners from the ship as well, of course. The yeah, Mongols army or
So
whatever.
so this big guy who looks like Goro, right? From two-armed Goro from Mortal Kombat, almost looks like a Mongol. Speaking in a different language. And that's where we find out that they don't want their chains off.
Superman.
Yeah, I like that too. But yeah, Volko's like, I think the big one wants to fight you, which is just they'll be disappointed because I want to speak to him. And again, there's Superman acting like Superman, He's like, no, I'm not. I don't care how much he wants to fight me. We're not fighting. But he goes in there into the prison and just like, it's such a weird warrior culture in here, right? Just like the art here.
The way he sticks his tongue out and then headbutts Superman when Superman tries to take his chains off. To the point where like it leaves him with a big like hole / gash in his head, and he's just smiling like a maniac,
right?
With this wound. It's so weird.
It's this culture that breeds violence, and that's all they know, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what he just busted his head open, headbutting Superman, and he's wearing it like a point of pride. It's like, what is going on in War World?
And then Lois Lane decides she wants to cosplay as Cyclops, and is they're in the library, the Kandor library, and they're looking through. This is where John acts a little bit out of character, and they kind of like question, like he thinks there's something fishy about, and he's kind of right because we get the the woman who spoke the Kryptonian language and has the House of El symbol in her hand,
burned on her hands.
Yeah. Like, she realizes she doesn't have her chains on when she wakes up. She quickly grabs her chains. And then once we see that, she also smashes Calyx as well. That's a good point. But then we get a flashback to her being given this mission by Mongol. Where, it's not like she's, like, super loyal, and she's very subservient, but they're the ones who burned the Superman symbol into her hand. And she's told that she's got a great secret and purpose. You're going to wear this mark, you're going to go find Superman, and this will determine the fate of all your kind. So I would suspect that she's not a villain character, but more that she is being forced to do this this is under duress, right? Like, they're basically using her, using whoever her people are, right? Because John points out that if they were Kryptonian, they should have absorbed enough yellow energy, right? Like, from the sun, that it would alter them differently. So his point of, just because they're speaking an old Kryptonian dialect doesn't mean they're Kryptonian. Because Kara and Clark are both getting caught up on the fact that there's more Kryptonians now, because Clark's still a bit, has a bit of a guilt trip about Kandor from what Rogolzar did, and he feels, responsible for it. And Kara and him being the last two Kryptonians, right? Like, except he got Zod in them over on their planet. But, the fact that Mongol is sending her in with these brands almost to, like, infiltrate them. Like, I don't know, because he brands her people, whoever her people are here, with the S on their chest, which is gnarly. Like, this ending certainly implies that they're not Kryptonian at all, and it's all just a ruse to make Superman and others question if they are. And John's maybe been oddly the most level-headed one, because Kara's spending her time looking to see if like, was there any other ships that left Krypton that didn't return?
Right.
Like, was there anything else that could have survived somehow? And she's not finding anything. And this ending here, because this flashback is the ending. This kind of reveal. So. It is intriguing. Obviously, a lot of this is building up to where we're going with Action Comics and the War World stuff. It's doing a really good job of making Mongol feel threatening, and the idea that this is going to work, that John is right, but it's not just that he's right, that it's going to work, and Mongol's going to get his way, because we know Superman in some capacity is going to go to War World, and Superman, or John, is going to be the acting Superman. Whether or not it plays out exactly like Action or like Future State is another question, but regardless of that, we know that Superman will be John for some time, because they're renaming the book and we're getting the Tom Taylor book instead. So, although notably it's not adding to the numbers, because they are naming it a different title. They're making it its own thing, but it is effectively the Superman book for foreseeable future. So it's interesting. I was into this. The intrigue of what Mongol's up to. The art, of course, we've mentioned is fantastic. All the action in that first half is really great. I love Supergirl getting involved as well. Like the idea that this, of course, involves her too. Like bring her in and let's talk about who these Kryptonians are.
Yeah, it's a family decision, right? Like they do want everyone, and more minds on this are better because even Lois is getting involved because I want to know what her theory is. Right? We never get there because we get the refugees' backstory, but yeah. So. But I do like John kind of being wise to it because again, to me, he's seeing the darkness of the galaxy at this point, and not just because he also went to the future. I don't think it's not something that he knows.
I'm going to theorize that it's actually more that it's just because he spent so much time with Damien, he's got a bit of cynical in him.
Yeah, why not? Right? Like that would work out. So. Yeah,
and it's not that he doesn't have the compassion or the heart that his father sort of implanted him, but he's learned some cynicism.
Which, and again, if he learned cynicism from Damien, then Damien can learn how to have a fun time from John, right? Like that should how friends share things, right? Like, so yeah, no, that's an equally valid explanation too. But it feels right coming from John, even though Kara and Lois are like, that seems very un-John of him. It's the one. He's like, I'm the only one thinking about this. You guys are getting too caught up on stuff. But no, it's very good. Philip Kennedy Johnson on Superman has been, not that I didn't enjoy Bendis. I had a talk with my the owner of my shop this week about it, and Bendis was fine. Like he did some good stuff, but here this is the type of stuff I look for in Superman. Like even with him talking with Atlantis and Atlantis being like, well, no, this is ours now. Superman's like, what do you mean? Like, oh, it's too important for it to get out. He just kind of looks at Volko and Arthur and it's kind of like, well, can we do something about this? So I just like those dynamics that we never really see. So.
All right. What you rating Action Comics?
I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm inclined. Yeah, I think I will also go 8.5. Obviously, neither of us are reading the backup for this, so we can move on.
Which now I feel knowing that it ties into Superman and the Authority, but I think I'm just gonna let that ride, and because it's Morrison that's doing that. I'm just gonna let it ride.
I mean, I'll try that book when it hits, but I'm not concerned with. I just don't want to read the backup, so it's cool.